All right, folks, welcome back. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today I am going to finally grade the Rams draft class. So before I dive into that, just want to let you guys know that you can like, subscribe, and comment to support the channel. And you can also follow me on all social media at JKBogen, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. All right, let's get into it. So starting off, the big thing here for the Rams draft grade is going to basically combine everything they did. So that draft pick that they traded away at 26, they moved down to 46, they moved their 101 pick, and they get the 2026 first-round pick. That in itself deserves an A+. Now, understand this, trading back from 26 to 46 while acquiring a first-round pick in what is expected to be a very strong quarterback class when you have the need long-term for a quarterback is just a stroke of genius. Les Snead cooked in this one, and funny enough, sent the compensatory pick that he got for Raheem Morris back to Raheem Morris. The Rams have gone from F them picks to gimme them picks, and as they acquire the second first-round pick in 2026, they put themselves in a position to select their franchise quarterback of the future post-Matthew Stafford. Will it be Arch Manning? Will it be Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik, or somebody else? That's for us to find out after this season. However, with the team attempting to move up and take Tetairoa McMillan and take Emeka Egbuka at one point, having the ability to trade back and acquire the draft capital they felt like they needed, and that was technically like forbidden going into this draft. It was hard to get a 2026 draft pick. To me, that makes this an A+. We move on to pick 46 after the trade down. In the second round, the Rams selected Oregon tight end Terrance Ferguson. I gave this a B+, and here's why. In my opinion, when they did that really filled a need that the Rams had, with Tyler Higbee getting older in a contract year. Colby Parkinson he had a disappointing first season in a 3-year deal, and Davis Allen didn't really take a step forward in year 2, albeit he was dealing with a back issue. Ferguson can play day one. I think he's one of the, if not most, athletic tight ends in the draft. I think he does a really nice job of generating missed tackles, something that I actually really care about. He fights to move the chains, and that's something the Rams really lacked last year heading into the draft. He also is a really good red zone receiving threat. The Rams were 22nd in the league last year, so that definitely works out. He's quick. He's a physical route runner. He can create space. He can win after the catch and has potential to be a jump ball guy. He showcased that in 2023 with Bo Nix. I think he was a lot more inconsistent in 2024 with Dillon Gabriel. I like the player. I just felt like this was a little high, but this is the Rams guy after all. I do think Harold Fan Jr. was a better fit. I didn't love Ferguson's blocking ability, nor did I love his effort in the games that I did fully evaluate. And of course, I highlight games that I did fully evaluate. Doesn't mean other games he doesn't look better. And that's where I'm going to dive into the film, so that'll be a separate video. But the role for Ferguson is simple. He can be utilized as a true pass-catching weapon, big 6'5" target for Matthew Stafford moving forward. I'm excited to see some juice in the tight end room, and I think he could be a sneaky breakout candidate if the Rams draw up enough for him. With Sean McVay leading the way, I expect he's going to do that. He mentioned Chris Cooley and Travis Kelce when talking about him. I feel really good about the future with Terrance Ferguson. We move on to pick 90 in the third round, the second pick in this draft. And they got Michigan edge defender Josaiah Stewart. I gave this an A. I really like this pick of Stewart. I didn't expect him to make it to 90 overall. Didn't think he would be on the Rams' radar considering the height, but I'm glad he was. Look, this is an undersized edge defender, plays stronger than most at that weight. He was a team captain, a vocal leader at Michigan, relentless motor. I think that's coupled with some of the best, I would say one of the best first steps in the draft. He has a toolbox in, as far as a pass rusher, really plans out his attack. Other guys in the past, they haven't really had that toolbox. They haven't really had a pass rush plan. He does. I think the Rams are getting a guy that can help them in the run game, the rush game, and a guy that's going to be a really good player for a long time. I think Stewart figures to have an early rotational role as an edge defender. I think they could also play some inside backer with him if they want to. He had among the FBS, lead in sacks for his career with over 30 and was among the league lead in win rate. I think you can expect Stewart to immediately contribute this year as a chess piece for Chris Shula and work his way into becoming potentially a starter should the Rams choose not to re-sign Byron Young. So I give it an A. I really like it because I think he helps in that, that rotation with a Brennan Jackson. And then he provides some insurance if you feel like he could take over, you don't bring back Byron Young, he could start across from Jared Verse. Pick fourth round, 117. The Rams trade up to secure Jarquez Hunter, the running back out of Auburn. They did this. They were at 127. There started to be a run on running backs. Woody Marks came off the board. They trade up instantly, and they secured Jarquez Hunter here. A+ grade from me. He's a player that I had going to the Rams in my second mock draft and met with him. He fits the run scheme. He deviates from what they currently have on the roster. A true wrecking ball, breakaway speed, basically led the SEC in yards per carry average in 2024. He's got great contact balance. He runs with great pad level. He also doubles as a reliable and productive kick returner as well. So with the new rules, now, Xavier Smith could get some push there for the job from Hunter. I think Hunter's role, simply put, is a back to add some power, explosion when you need it. Kyren Williams is going to be in control of 80%, all likelihood of snaps. And if the Rams want to hit that big run, if they want to hit the home run, they could put in Hunter and swing for the fences. And I really think that allows the Rams to have something that they haven't really had on this roster. I know they kind of thought Cam Akers could be that. And don't get me wrong, he was explosive when he was playing well. But they haven't had a consistent guy they can rely on. Jarquez Hunter, I believe, is that guy. He's just not the best pass protector, so I wouldn't expect him to push Kyren Williams out the door quite yet. I think he's going to complement Kyren well. I think he's perfect one at that as far as complimenting him. High character, hardworking guy, fits the culture. They met with him via Zoom. They loved him. I think considering the run at running back, I totally understood trading up, and I love that they did. A+ pick for Jarquez Hunter. We move on to 148 in the 5th round. They traded up to get Ty Hamilton. They actually traded away a 2026 4th round pick. That lowered my grade. I'm going to give this a C+ because I think trading away a 2026 4th round pick was a lot. Here's the thing. This was a surprise selection for me. I think, it was a big time trade at the time. And when they moved up from 190, moved all the way up to 148, that's pretty much what I expected them to do. I just didn't expect them to trade away early day 3 capital in 2026. I didn't expect them to draft Ty Hamilton. I think the trade aside, Hamilton has played 55 games in college, won a national title with Ohio State. Obviously, being in that program definitely helps. Was considered a great teammate, hard worker. He's got a nonstop motor. You watch the tape, you see it. Gap disciplined, really good run defender. So that is going to help out that run defense that everyone keeps complaining about, despite the fact they got Poona Ford. The pass rush ability is a work in progress. I don't think he's really going to help the Rams in that regard. But, the Rams clearly liked Hamilton enough to trade up, and they did. And they got their 5th round guy. I think early career role for Hamilton, you could be looking at him as a situational defensive tackle. He's going to battle Tyler Davis, Desjuan Johnson, Laryl Murchison, and others for playing time. If it works out, the Rams did it again like they did with Kobe Turner. Hamilton could be Turner's replacement if they can't come to a deal. So that is kind of a long-term look on this. I think at this point in the draft, when the Rams traded up, that Torrey Horton was sitting right there, felt like a no-brainer, had a late 2nd round grade on him, and I know a lot of people did as well. They really liked him, and I thought he would have fit the offense well, felt like they were going to go with a wide receiver at some point, and I also was really high on Chris Paul Jr., who I probably would have selected over Torrey Horton, to be honest with you, because I had a 1st round grade on Chris Paul Jr., and luckily they traded up again to secure him with the next pick. So C+ here because of what they gave up, and I think Ty Hamilton's a good player, but I had other guys that I had in mind. And, of course, I don't think it was a pressing need, but that being said, they know what they're doing when they draft defensive linemen, I'll say that. Speaking of Chris Paul Jr., though, 172 overall, the Rams trade up. They move up. They trade away pair of 6th rounders. They get Chris Paul Jr. This is an A+, and I'd give it 5 A+. The selection, for those of you that watched the live draft coverage, this selection, it made me as happy as I've ever been on a draft day. Chris Paul Jr., make no mistake about it, I had a first-round grade on, like I mentioned, 29th overall prospect. I think this is, looking back on it, the most valuable pick based on any of my boards the Rams have had since I started evaluating the draft 10 years ago. I think Chris Paul Jr., or if you want to call him Pooh Paul, because that is what he calls himself, and, like Winnie the Pooh, Pooh Paul, he's an extremely smart, football-savvy linebacker, can win in all three phases. What I mean by that, stopping the run, rushing the passer, dropping into coverage. Paul fell in this draft because he's undersized. I don't understand how he fell in the 5th round, to be honest with you, but he did. I don't remotely care about his height, though. I never really do about any prospect. So because not only are there plenty of players to that point that have made it as undersized linebackers, like a London Fletcher, we know what he did, Dexter Coakley, and Nick Bolton, just to name a few, the guy also can play, and size is simply not a skill. So don't care about that. CPJ is an elite mover. He displays true sideline-to-sideline chase down ability. He's gotten better and better each year. Even evolved. In my opinion, based on what I've watched, he evolved as a block shedder. Went from a guy that tries to use speed to knife his way through the trenches to a guy that now plays more physically. And you see it. He has success deconstructing blocks, not trying to evade them. So this guy, what you're getting, never takes a play off, relentless motor. He's a well-liked dude. He can be a leader. Played 40 games in college across two schools, 3 of which were at Arkansas, and then he had his time at Ole Miss. He's a sound tackler, very few weaknesses to his game. My opinion, his role with the Rams will likely be the second linebacker behind Omar Speights. They traded up to get him. I think this guy has a chance to be a starter and a star, to be fair. He should, like most of the players the Rams drafted, at least half of the snaps, if not more, should be played. I think most of the guys that they drafted will play at least half the snaps each game. By year 3, I think we could be talking about this guy being one of the top linebackers in the game. I really mean that. I think he's got a full tool set that you want to look for as a linebacker. And I do think when all is said and done, he was the steal of the NFL draft. I understand Shedeur Sanders went in this round, and that is a pretty big steal. But I'm telling you, looking at Chris Paul Jr., this is going to be the one where you're like, what were people thinking? How did we miss this? How did they miss this? This was a layup, and they missed it. So I give this one A+. Would continue with, again, like 5 pluses after that. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite picks the Rams have ever made. And the fact the Rams traded up, used 6th-round capital to move up and secure this player while addressing a need was big time. So, look, they might not have gotten that first-round linebacker that you wanted, but in my opinion, I think they did. Chris Paul Jr. is going to be an absolute steal in this draft, and I think he's like the Puka Nacua pick of this draft. We move on to the last pick in the Rams draft. It was the 7th round, 242nd overall pick. Pittsburgh wide receiver Konata Mumpfield. I gave it a B+. He is about an average or below average in all measurables, okay? Position, he's not really great as far as the measurables are concerned. As you know, I don't really care. Konata Mumpfield has some plays that make you just go, wow, right? He's a really skilled route runner, quicker than fast, has some crazy body control, fluidity, allows him to secure catches near the sideline, and he really focuses on attention to detail. He's got good ball tracking. I think with Mumpfield, you're just going to need to improve as a yak skill type of guy. Okay, Mumpfield doesn't have great yards after the catch ability. He gets yards after the catch, but as far as making guys miss, the elusiveness, it's not really there. His blocking, I think, could get a lot better. And then, of course, he's going to need to be comfortable playing on special teams. That said, I think this is a good player. He could be a sneaky addition here. And with the Rams having a lighter roster at wide receiver, Mumpfield has a shot to carve out a role on this 53-man roster and set himself up, on this roster for the future. That C on his chest, I think, is really something that stood out to me, and I'm sure that's something that stands out to the Rams. In conclusion, I gave Konata Mumpfield a B+, And I feel like going after one of the top UDFAs here is a reason why I gave him a B+, is because I would have preferred them going after either a cornerback in Kobe Bryant or wide receiver, if we're sticking there. Elijah Badger, I had a 3rd round grade on out of Florida, so I thought he would have made more sense. That said, I like the pick. I was just grading it B+. That's how I feel. Fully, the Rams, I give an A- for their draft. That might seem high to some. That might seem low to others. Hear me out, though. They came into this draft with a different objective than last year or the year before. So now they no longer need to rebuild on the fly. This is a draft where they selected 6 players only, but 6 players that can help them now and into the future. And not to mention the acquisition, which you can't forget about, the 2026 first-round pick, that it's a miserable season in Atlanta away from becoming even more valuable next year. The Rams get an A- for their ability to address needs at tight end, edge, linebacker, running back. They didn't need just anyone at these positions. They needed specific players at these positions. They needed an edge that could be used similar to Michael Hoyt, although he's not quite the size of Michael Hoyt. In the cheetah package, when you're using 3 edge defenders on the field at once, Josaiah Stewart can absolutely do that. They needed a tight end that could be used in the passing game and make guys miss after the catch. They do not have that on the roster outside of Tyler Higbee, and now Terrance Ferguson can do that. They needed a running back that could hit a home run on occasion and have explosives when others aren't doing it, okay? Hunter was 2nd in explosives at the FBS level in 2024, only behind RJ Harvey. So that made a lot of sense. And then they needed a linebacker that could do it all next to Omar Spates, and Chris Paul Jr. makes a lot of sense. So they got all those guys. Keep in mind, it's a strong roster heading in. I've said that over and over and over again. They didn't need to draft 14 players. Not all 14 are going to make the roster. The Rams, instead of using these picks, and it wasn't a guarantee that they'd even have this full roster make the team, they decided, we're going to get the best players possible with those picks. We're going to trade up when we want to, and we're going to make the most out of this. And I think 6 is a really good number because this was already a very competitive roster, and I think it was underrated, and I don't think people realize how good it truly was. So I think they took advantage of that. They took advantage of how strong the roster was, and they made those draft picks count. I think more teams should do this, so I really like the way they did. Keep in mind, you can only keep 53 on a roster, and not everybody you cut just is going to go to the practice squad. Guys have to clear waivers. So if you draft a bunch of guys and say you cut half of your draft class thinking, oh, they'll all go on the practice squad, it doesn't work like that. Other teams have grades on these guys. They like these guys. They will be hunting for these guys on cut day. We see it with the Rams. We see it with other teams. It happens. So, this is why I suggested trading up to essentially buy a stronger pick. And they did that not once, but 3 times on day 3. So in conclusion, I love that they stuck by previous draft classes. For instance, they didn't go running back until day 3, considering they had Kyron Williams and they just spent a 3rd on Blake Corum last year. They didn't go safety with the emergence of Jalen McCullough and the 3rd round selection of Cam Kinchins last year. They didn't go wide receiver early. Even after attempts fell through, they ended up rolling with a 7th round pick, so stock up for Jordan Whittington. They entrusted in their offensive line with their late round picks last year in KT Leviston, who didn't get a chance to play, and Bo Limmer, who was a huge addition last year for them and stepped up in a big way. And then 5th round pick the year prior in Warren McClendon Jr. So they did not draft an offensive lineman. They're rolling with the 3 guys that they drafted the last 2 years, which I like. Not to mention cornerback. They stuck to their guns. Despite a lot of people, they didn't draft a cornerback, despite all the mocks, all the push from the fan base telling them to do so. So they let guys like Emmanuel Forbes Jr., who they're really excited about, work for it in 2025. They let guys like Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, and of course, they let Darion Kendrick, who's coming back from an injury. It's not all just, hey, that sounds cool, let's just say it. No, I told you last year, and I meant it, they were really high on Darion Kendrick before he suffered a season-ending injury. So I would say mission accomplished, mission completed. I'm excited for the season, not to mention the UDFA additions of linebacker Sean Dolak from Buffalo and wide receiver Mario Williams out of Tulane. I think the Rams killed it. They crushed it. I give it an A-. It's not A+, but but an A- with a team that, in my opinion, before the draft was already ready to win a Super Bowl. So those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. That's going to do it for me. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I'll see you soon. Later, folks. All right, guys. So once again, just want to let you guys know that you can check out my new side project, The Lounge. I interview athletes, musicians, actors, actresses, all the nine. So definitely check it out over on the Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.